Jack Abbott believed he had the upper hand. His plan was simple but risky. Hand over Matt Clark to Victor Newman in exchange for the complete destruction of the AI program. It was meant to protect the Abbott legacy and finally end the digital threat hanging over Jabao. But the deal collapses almost immediately. Before any agreement can be finalized, negotiations break down, leaving Jack's strategy in ruins and the Abbott family exposed to even greater danger. What was supposed to end the crisis instead opens the door to something far more destructive. The AI program itself spirals out of control. Originally created as a weapon against Jabao, the software turns on its own creator and begins attacking Newman Enterprises with the same devastating force that once destroyed Arabesque. Victor suddenly finds himself powerless against the very technology he unleashed, transforming a corporate rivalry into a full-scale digital catastrophe. At the center of the chaos stands Cain Ashby. Cain fully embraces his darker Aristotle Dumas persona by activating the built-in mayhem hidden within the code. This is no longer about business leverage or petty revenge. Cain proves he is willing to burn everything to the ground, escalating the conflict into a scorched earth campaign that threatens the biggest players in Genoa City. Phyllis Summers is not only aligned with Cain, she is thriving in the destruction. Their alliance forms a volatile new power duo that destabilizes both the Newman and Abbott empires. Phyllis feeds off the chaos, while Cain pushes the limits of digital warfare, creating a partnership that no one can easily predict or control. Victor Newman, however, does not absorb defeat quietly. By crossing him, Cain and Phyllis officially become his worst nightmare. The battle shifts from boardroom tactics to personal vengeance. Victor's wrath is no longer about saving a company. It is about crushing the people who dared to challenge his dominance. Meanwhile, Jack and Diane realize the danger has not ended. It has evolved. They fear Cain may be reverting to an even larger ambition, total corporate domination across Genoa City. If Cain continues this trajectory, the Abbotts may soon become his next primary target in a rapidly expanding war. What began as a failed negotiation has now ignited a digital battlefield, reshaping alliances, escalating vendettas, and pushing every major power player toward a collision course. The young and the restless. Cain and Phyllis turn Victor's AI weapon against him. Newman Enterprises decimated. What happens when you create a weapon so powerful that you can't control who wields it? And what if I told you that Victor Newman's ultimate tool of corporate domination is about to become his worst nightmare? Because the AI program that Victor used to destroy Erebus and threaten Jabao is now in the hands of people who want to watch Genoa City burn. And when I say Cain Ashby and Phyllis Summers are about to unleash digital chaos that brings Victor to his knees, I mean we're watching the birth of the most dangerous alliance this show has ever seen. Jack's master plan. When negotiation becomes catastrophe. Let's start with what should have been Jack Abbott's greatest strategic victory. Jack enters a high-stakes negotiation with Victor Newman with what appears to be the perfect deal. Jack is offering to surrender custody of Matt Clark, the man who terrorized Sharon and attacked Nick in exchange for the total destruction of the AI program that's been threatening Jabao. From Jack's perspective, this is brilliant negotiation. Jack has something Victor desperately wants, and Jack is willing to trade it for the one thing that could save Jabo from Victor's ongoing assault. It's clean, it's logical, and it serves both families' interests. Victor gets mad and can exact whatever revenge he wants. Jack gets the AI threat eliminated and can protect his family's legacy. But here's where everything falls apart. The deal collapses before the ink is dry, leaving the Abbott family legacy vulnerable. And Jack's strategy in tatters. Something goes wrong. Maybe Victor rags on the agreement. Maybe the terms weren't as clear as Jack thought. Maybe external forces intervene to destroy the deal. Whatever the cause, Jack's carefully constructed plan crumbles, and Jack is left with nothing. Think about what this failure means for Jack emotionally and strategically. Jack put all his eggs in this basket. Jack believed this negotiation was the path forward. Jack convinced his family to go along with his strategy. And now Jack has to face Diane, Kyle, and everyone else and admit that his master plan failed. That's humiliating for a man who prides himself on his business acumen and strategic thinking. The Abbott family legacy is now more vulnerable than ever because Jack's gambit failed. Whatever leverage Jack thought he had is gone. Whatever protection Jack thought he secured doesn't exist. And Victor still has the AI program. Or, at least Victor thinks he does. That's when it gets personal for the entire Abbott family. Diane is probably thinking, I told you this wouldn't work. I told you not to trust Victor. Kyle is probably wondering if his father's judgment is compromised. And Jack is dealing with the reality that his attempt to protect the family actually made them more vulnerable. Digital sabotage when Victor's weapon turns against him. But here's the twist that changes everything. The AI program that was originally intended as Victor's weapon against Genoa turns on its creator. Victor loses control of the software, and it begins decimating Newman Enterprises in the same way it destroyed Arabesque. Let that sink in. The tool Victor used to destroy his enemies is now destroying Victor's own company. This shift transforms what was a business rivalry into a full-scale digital catastrophe. We're not talking about market share loss or stock price drops. We're talking about systematic destruction of Newman Enterprises' digital infrastructure, financial systems, and business operations. The AI is doing to Newman what it did to Arabesque, taking it apart piece by piece with ruthless efficiency. Victor is experiencing what it feels like to be on the receiving end of his own weapon. Victor is watching his empire crumble the way he watched his enemies' businesses crumble. And Victor is powerless to stop it because the AI is more sophisticated than any defensive measures Victor has in place. The irony is brutal and perfect. Victor thought he was so smart building or acquiring this AI program. Victor thought having this technology made him invincible. Victor used it without conscience or restraint to destroy Arabesque. And now Victor is discovering that weapons this powerful don't care who they hurt. They just destroy whatever they're pointed at. Now here's where everything changes in terms of the power dynamics in Genoa City. Victor Newman being powerless against his own technology is unprecedented. Victor has always been the person in control, the person calling the shots, the person who dominates every situation. But you can't intimidate artificial intelligence. You can't negotiate with code. You can't use your connections or influence to stop a digital assault. Victor is facing an enemy he doesn't understand. And I can't fight using his traditional methods. And that's going to terrify Victor in ways physical threats never could. Because Victor knows how to handle human opponents. Victor doesn't know how to handle a rogue AI program that's systematically destroying his life's work. The Aristotle Dumas resurgence, Kane's digital arson. Now, let's talk about who is wielding Victor's weapon against him. Kane Ashby's dark side is back in full force. And the Aristotle Dumas persona, Kane's alias from a shadier past, represents the ruthless schemer Kane becomes when he stops caring about consequences. By greenlighting the built-in mayhem within the code, Kane proves he isn't just a player in this game. He's a digital arsonist. Kane didn't just steal the AI program. Kane understood its capabilities. Kane recognized that there was chaos built into the code waiting to be unleashed. And Kane made the deliberate choice to activate that mayhem and point it at Victor Newman. Kane has moved past minor corporate games to a total scorched earth policy against the giants of Genoa City. This isn't about market advantage or business competition. This is about destruction for its own sake. Kane is burning everything down. And Kane doesn't care who gets hurt in the fire. Think about what drove Kane to this point. Kane lost Lily. Kane lost his children. Kane lost everything that mattered to him personally. And in that loss, Kane stopped caring about being a good person. Kane stopped trying to rebuild his reputation. Kane embraced his worst instincts and decided that if he's going to suffer, everyone else should suffer, too. That's what makes Kane so dangerous right now. Kane has nothing to lose. Kane doesn't care about his future or his relationships or his legacy. Kane just wants to watch powerful people fall. And the AI program gives Kane the perfect weapon to achieve that goal. The question becomes, is Kane Ashby the new ultimate villain of Genoa City? Because Kane is operating with a level of ruthlessness and technological sophistication that previous villains haven't had. Kane isn't just scheming and manipulating. Kane is using cutting-edge technology to wage war against entire corporations. Kane is a new breed of villain for a digital age. The unholy alliance, Phyllis and Kane's power duo. But Kane isn't working alone. Phyllis Summers isn't just a bystander in this chaos. She's rawing in it. This unholy alliance between Phyllis and Kane creates a new unpredictable power duo that threatens to dismantle the status quo for both the Newmans and the Abbotts. Phyllis and Kane together are more dangerous than either would be alone. Phyllis brings strategic thinking, insider knowledge, and a network of connections. Kane brings technical expertise, ruthlessness, and the willingness to cross lines Phyllis might hesitate at. Together, they complement each other's strengths and compensate for each other's weaknesses. Phyllis is driven by her desire for chaos and revenge. Phyllis has grudges against Victor. Phyllis enjoys watching powerful people suffer. Phyllis gets energy from creating mayhem and disrupting the established order. So, partnering with Kane to use Victor's own weapon against him is exactly the kind of poetic justice that appeals to Phyllis. But here's the contrast that's important to understand. Jack Abbott desires legacy and protection. Jack wants to preserve what his family built. Jack wants to protect Jabao for future generations. Jack is motivated by defensive protective instincts. Meanwhile, Phyllis desires chaos and revenge. Phyllis wants to tear down what others have built. Phyllis is motivated by destructive, offensive instincts. That fundamental difference in motivation is why Jack's strategy failed and Phyllis's strategy is succeeding. Jack tried to negotiate and make deals. Because Jack wants peaceful coexistence. Phyllis went straight for the jugular because Phyllis wants total victory. Jack played by rules. Phyllis ignored the rules and went for maximum damage. The unholy alliance between Phyllis and Kane is unpredictable because both of them are impulsive and driven by emotion rather than careful planning. They're not thinking 10 moves ahead. They're reacting to their pain and anger and desire for revenge. And that makes them dangerous because they're willing to take risks that more cautious schemers wouldn't take. Victor's ultimate wrath, the revenge mission begins. Now, let's talk about what happens when you make Victor Newman your enemy in the most personal way possible. While Phyllis and Kane celebrate their victory of turning Victor's weapon against him, they've officially become Victor's worst nightmare. And Victor Newman doesn't forgive. Victor doesn't forget. Victor destroys people who cross him this completely. The narrative is shifting from a corporate battle to a personal revenge mission. This isn't about business anymore. This isn't about market share or competitive advantage. This is about Victor making Phyllis and Kane pay for humiliating him, for destroying his company, for using his own weapon against him. Victor is going to mobilize every resource he has. Victor is going to call in every favor. Victor is going to use legal, causal, and probably illegal methods to destroy Phyllis and Kane. And Victor is going to make sure everyone in Genoa City knows what happens when you cross the mustache and walk away thinking you've won. But here's the problem Victor faces. Phyllis and Kane have the AI program. They have the weapon. They have the ability to continue attacking Victor and anyone Victor cares about. So, Victor can't just use his traditional methods of intimidation and business pressure. Victor needs to either get the AI program back or neutralize it somehow. And that's not going to be easy when the people who control it have nothing to lose. Think about the personal dynamics here. Victor probably underestimated both Phyllis and Kane. Victor didn't see them as serious threats. Victor was focused on Jack and the Abbotts as his primary enemies. So, Victor didn't prepare adequate defenses against Phyllis and Kane. And now, Victor is paying the price for that miscalculation. Victor's pride is wounded in addition to his business being destroyed. Victor built his reputation on being smarter and more ruthless than everyone else. But Phyllis and Kane outsmarted him. They took his weapon and used it against him. They proved that Victor isn't invincible. And that's going to drive Victor to extreme measures to reassert his dominance. The evolved threat, total corporate domination. But the threat hasn't been vanquished. It's evolved into something even more dangerous. Jack and Diane realize that Kane hasn't just stolen the AI to attack Victor. They fear Kane has reverted to an original plan to take over every major business in Genoa City, making the Abbotts the likely next target on his hit list. Think about what that means. If Cain is planning total corporate domination, then destroying Newman Enterprises is just the first step. Cain is going to use the AI program to systematically take down every major company in Genoa City. Newman Enterprises today, Jabao tomorrow, then Chancellor Winters, then any other business that stands in Cain's way. Cain isn't content with revenge against one enemy. Cain wants to own everything. Cain wants to be the power in Genoa City. Cain wants to remake the business landscape with himself at the top. And the AI program gives Cain the weapon to make that audacious plan actually possible. Jack and Diane's fear is completely justified because if Cain successfully destroyed Newman Enterprises, which seemed invincible, then Jabao is absolutely vulnerable. Jack thought negotiating with Victor would protect Jabao. But Jack didn't account for the threat of Cain and Phyllis stealing the program and using it for their own purposes. So now Jack is facing a threat he's completely unprepared for. Jack doesn't have defenses against this kind of digital assault. Jack doesn't have the technical expertise to counter sophisticated AI attacks. Jack is going to need help from people who understand technology in ways Jack doesn't. And Jack is going to need it fast before Cain turns the AI program on Jabao. The Abbotts are the likely next target because Cain has motivations to attack them. Cain worked with Jack on getting evidence against Victor. Cain has relationships with the Abbott family, and now Cain might see the Abbotts as obstacles to his plan for total domination. Or Cain might attack them simply because they're there and they're vulnerable. The bigger picture, a new era of corporate warfare. What we're witnessing is the evolution of corporate warfare in Genoa City. Traditional business competition involved market strategies, product development, and financial maneuvering. Victor's generation fought business battles through intimidation, strategic acquisitions, and leveraging personal relationships. But Cain and Phyllis are fighting with technology that makes traditional methods obsolete. They're waging digital warfare that can destroy a company from the inside without ever setting foot in a boardroom. They're using artificial intelligence to attack systems and infrastructure in ways that human opponents can't match. This new era of corporate warfare favors people like Cain who understand technology and are willing to use it without ethical constraints. Victor is powerful, but Victor is old school. Victor fights battles the way he's always fought them. Victor doesn't fully understand the digital battlefield, and that makes Victor vulnerable in ways he's never been before. Jack is in an even worse position because Jack isn't as ruthless as Victor. Jack wants to protect his family legacy, but Jack isn't willing to burn everything down to win. Jack has ethical boundaries that Cain doesn't have. And in this new era of total digital warfare, those boundaries might be fatal weaknesses. The question becomes, how do traditional power players like Victor and Jack adapt to this new threat? Do they find their own tech experts and fight fire with fire? Do they try to negotiate with Cain and Phyllis? Do they call in law enforcement and hope the legal system can stop what's happening? None of these options are great, and all of them come with serious risks. Looking forward, the chaos continues. Phyllis and Cain are celebrating their victory over Victor, but they're underestimating what's coming. Victor Newman wounded is more dangerous than Victor Newman comfortable. Victor is going to come for them with everything he has, and Victor's revenge is going to be brutal. But in the meantime, Cain and Phyllis control the AI program. They have the power to continue their assault on Newman Enterprises and potentially expand to other targets. They're going to push their advantage while they have it, trying to accomplish as much destruction as possible before Victor figures out how to stop them. Jack and Diane are scrambling to prepare defenses for Jabao. They're trying to figure out how to protect their company from the same kind of digital assault that's destroying Newman Enterprises. They're looking for technical expertise, trying to understand the threat, and hoping they can get defenses in place before Cain turns his attention to them. And Victor is planning revenge while simultaneously trying to save his company from total destruction. Victor is fighting a two-front war, defending Newman Enterprises from the AI assault, while also plotting how to destroy Phyllis and Cain. Victor is under more pressure than he's been in years, and that pressure is going to force Victor to make desperate choices. So, here's what we need to be watching for as this storyline unfolds. Can Victor regain control of the AI program, or is Newman Enterprises going to be completely destroyed? Does Jack successfully prepare Jabo's defenses before Cain attacks? Or does Jabo fall the same way Newman did? Do Phyllis and Kane's alliance hold together under pressure, or do they turn on each other when things get difficult? And most importantly, what is Victor's revenge going to look like when it finally comes? What do you think? Is Kane Ashby really the new ultimate villain of Genoa City, or is he in over his head? Do you believe Phyllis and Kane's alliance can survive, or are they going to destroy each other? And can Victor Newman actually come back from having his own weapon used against him? In this devastatingly, drop your predictions in the comments because this storyline is reshaping the entire power structure of Genoa City in ways we haven't seen before. If you want updates on the digital war between Kane, Phyllis, and Victor, the race to protect Jabo, and Victor's inevitable revenge, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. And if you're interested in deep dives on how technology is changing corporate warfare or a character analysis of what drives people like Kane and Phyllis versus people like Jack and Victor, check out the video popping up on your screen right now. The weapon Victor created to destroy his enemies is now destroying Victor. And the chaos has only just begun. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.